to the Daily Dose, the number one daily morning mastermind for those trying to grow and elevate. Actually, let me pull out a microphone because I just hooked up the microphone. I've been had it. We about to get this thing rocking and rolling, yo. So got the mic. Um, and we gonna get into it. So the verse of the day, boom, James chapter 1, 2 through 6. Consider it pure joy, my brothers and sisters, whenever you face trials of many kinds, because you know that the testing of your faith produces perseverance. Let perseverance finish its work so that you may be mature and complete, not lacking anything. If any of you lacks wisdom, you should ask God, who gives generously to all without finding fault, and it will be given to you. But when you ask, you must believe and not doubt, because the one who doubts is like a wave. And like I said, God will give us whatever we ask for in wisdom. God will always let us know exactly what we need. It is so amazing to know that, like I said, this is my favorite verse because we know that we're gonna go through trials and tribulations. We know that's gonna happen. But when we consider it pure joy, the reason why we consider it pure joy is because we know that we're being tested, right? And it's gonna produce the perseverance that we need to endure in life whenever we get go through other trials and tribulations, just like going to the gym. You consider, even though you might be lifting weights and it's painful as you're going through it, you're not thinking about, well, you might be if it's getting crazy tough. But anyway, you're really not thinking about quitting. You're thinking about going as hard as possible. And you're excited because you know that you're getting stronger and you are more weights. And that's exactly what happens when we go through trials and tribulations. It's not always fun in the middle of it, but we remember this verse to consider it joy. We'll know that, okay, this is bringing the best out of me, and after I get through this, I'll be stronger and I'll be more able to uh, what they say, fight the good fight. So that's the verse of the day. Did anybody have any comments, feedback they want to talk about on this verse before we move forward? Awesome. Awesome. So we'll hop right into the business topic for today, and that's going to be risk management. Risk management is key in your business because you don't ever know what's going to happen. But when you have a risk management plan and you understand how important risk management is, you can be prepared for these things. So, the first step, risk management, is risk identification and assessment, right? And this goes with understanding market volatility, regulatory changes, environmental emergencies, and this can affect business operations, objectives, and stakeholders. So this is the what and the who. What can happen and who can it affect? So when you're in your business, you always want to think about this. This is super important um, to know and to understand in your business, right? So this could be and stakeholders. That can be so that's you, that's anybody who's invested in your business, that's your customers, and it's also the general public. Anybody who could be impacted by something that happens in your business. That's who would be considered stakeholder. All right, then you have risk analysis. So after identifying the actual what the risk would be, you will identify the causes of those risks, right? You will identify, okay, why would this actually happen, right? And then also you will identify the potential consequences. Super important to understand, okay, if this actually does happen, what would be the effect of that, right? So that'll be a risk analysis. Risk mitigation. You create a plan to prepare for those risks, but right before that, you would try to hopefully prevent the risk if possible. That's what your risk mitigation plan would be. So you understand what the risk could be, who it potentially affect, what would cause the risk, and what would happen if the risk were actually to occur. Now you create a plan to prepare for it or prevent it. And then next you have risk monitoring, right? You want to monitor if that risk does happen, how many times has it happened? And you want to communicate that to your employees. If you are an employee, you want to communicate it to your manager, your CEO, whatever the case may be, right? You just want to make sure the risks are being communicated, because without the communication, we'll never understand how to fix it moving forward, right? You will never understand how to fix it moving forward. And then you want to report it, right? And it's kind of the same thing as communication, but the reporting is actually, writing it down and understanding the metrics behind it, right? So we look at the potential consequences and you report the consequences. Like, okay, what happened, right? What happened because of this risk? And write it down, understand exactly how it impacted your business from all the different angles, financially, uh, public relation wise, right? Reputation rather, right? You want to really sit down and think about how this risk impacted your business when it occurred so that you can have a better plan for the future. Super important. Super important. So anybody have any comments on risk management? Awesome. Awesome. So this is super key. Like I said, you want to understand risk management in your business as it pertains to whatever industry that you are in. Next topic is self-development. And this is about thinking big. We want to think big. We need to think big. We owe it to God to think big. Verse that we were talking about a couple of weeks ago. God will do abundantly and exceedingly more than we can ask or think. So we thinking, if we already thinking big, God's gonna take that and create an even bigger goal. You right, get bigger purpose, because we believe that we can even achieve those things. So the first step to thinking big is believing that you can succeed. Right, which is the first step of anything. Right, is just believing that, understanding that you can accomplish whatever it is that you're trying to accomplish. The next thing is to set big goals. I know that sometimes when we start to set goals, they try to tell you to set achievable goals, and that's kind of it's kind of, I guess, subjective, because if you believe you can succeed, then technically any goal is achievable, right? But you want to make it to where it is super, super big, but also I say instead of realistic, I'm achievable. I'll say realistic, right? You just don't want to just call out some random number, or whatever the goal is, right? You want to make it, I guess, realistic, but also super, super big. And when you see that, when you set big goals, the difference is even if you fail, you probably would have went further than what you did if you would have just set a small goal. And I'll just use just a basic example for that I got from a book called The 10X Rule, by Grant Cardone. And that's, if you set a goal, multiply it by 10. And this will also take me to the next thing as well. But so let's say you got a goal of making $1 million in a year in your business, right? Multiply that by 10, right? And then take the action, multiply whatever action you needed to make a million, multiply that by 10 so you can make that 10 million, right? But let's say you end up only making 7 million. Well, you made 6 million more than what your original goal would be, right? So that's still an achievement. So you want to set huge goals for yourself, and then you want to take the massive, massive action to achieve those goals. And you build your confidence by being consistent every single day. I just seen a quote on Instagram by Deion Sanders. I had to screenshot it. I mean, I'm always trying to be present. It's hard for me to be present because I think a lot about the future. Um, but it was just like you can only be where your feet are, right? So you can only work on what you can do right now. So every single day you build your confidence by being consistent in what you're doing every single day. Um, the next thing is take ownership of your life, right? Like I said, be present and understand that you only getting out whatever you put into it. Your life is an outward projection of what you think about daily, right? And if you think about that on the deeper terms, like, okay, if you only thinking about X, Y, and Z, then those things are going to project into your life, and you can easily see that in other people, right? But you want to take it a step further and really realize what it's doing in your And then the next step is expanding your circle. Who are you connected to? Who is your network? And I don't know how it is for other people, like as far as making friends or whatever the case may be. I'm not saying like uh I don't know, like remove your friends or whatever. I would say that if they was like detrimental, but if they just who they are, they're not hurting you. I don't really say get rid of them, right? Whatever they got going on, but expand your circle, as in like create new opportunities for yourself to be successful. Find out some different groups that you can be a part of. Go to conferences, pay for conferences. I'm telling you, those are game changers. Just a slight nugget. I went to last year. I was just talking about this, but last year at this point in my life, I had one part time job. I went to a conference last July, and now I work for um one of the speakers that was at the conference. Made that connection, reached out to her, and just put the piece. God put the pieces together. Right, definitely wasn't me. I just took the action. But like the other those conferences, you never know what that who you will meet. Right, so you want to take steps to expand your circle. So those are the steps to thinking big, and it's important for us to think big. Ooh. Next thing is I want to touch on, as we was talking about risk management, because a huge thing just happened this weekend, or last week rather, and it was the National Association of Realtors settlement. Don't know if you heard about it, but there was a huge settlement, $418 million settlement, um, that prohibits agents' compensation from being posted now. So now you had the real estate agents commission being posted, and generally it's 6%. It is negotiable. They can't. It was already illegal for them to make a flat for you to tell them that you had to pay a certain percentage. It is negotiable. It always has been, but now it prohibits them from actually being posted. What that means is whenever you buy a house, or whenever you selling the house, rather, because the seller always pays the commission. Whenever you're selling the house, your real estate agent is going to be like, okay, I charge 6%. 3% is going to go, well, however they structure. They could do it however they could break it down however they want to, but let's just make it even. Working with you to sell your home, the other 3% is going to go to the buyer's agent who brought a buyer to buy your home, right? And, and, and that's always listed. So the buyer's agent can see which sellers are offering the most commission. So taking it where your um, um the seller's agent would be like, okay, you gave me 6%, but I'm only gonna get a buyer 2%. I'm gonna take 4%, right? So then in that situation, it would be like, okay, if I'm a buyer's agent, this person offering 2%, but this person offering 3%. Which home am I about to show my client, right? The higher commission paid one. So that it prohibits that, right? And it also removes the requirements that brokers must subscribe to the MLS. This doesn't really affect the general public as much, but if you're a real estate agent, the MLS fees can get pretty expensive. So there's that. And how does this affect everybody? It couldn't impact home prices because technically they could go down a little bit because of the fact that the commission is going to go down, so you don't have to put up as more to be able to buy the home. But that's really not likely, honestly. Some people think we're in a real estate bubble. Some people think we at the top of the market. Some people think we at the bottom of the market. Right? There's so many different opinions that's out there right now. I personally do not think real estate prices are going down because we still have a shortage of supply, right? And that's just a uh, basic business, right? When there's no supply and it's high demand, prices are up, right? And we have a huge shortage of supply. But this will impact first time home buyers because the seller if sellers are reducing their commission that they're paying, then buyers are going to have to pay buyers agents out of their pocket, right? Which is not traditionally how it's done. So therefore, the only people who would be able to pay for buyers agent are people who could actually afford to pay them whatever they cost. So if you don't have $4,000 to pay an agent to hit on the home to do all of their services, that may prohibit you from even working with a broker. But the smart sellers agents still put that commission in there for us. It will reduce agents' commission. Um, but like I said, the example before, it could reduce the number of shady agents. Given that example of the buyer's agent who would only show you the homes with a higher commission to them. So that's if y'all seen that news coming around, that's the effects of it. That's really what it is, and that's what's going on in the real estate. Anybody have any questions about that? Any comments? Awesome. Awesome. That's another day of the daily dose. That'll wrap it up. Hope everybody has a great Tuesday. Now let's keep cranking out for the rest of the week. I'll catch y'all tomorrow, 7 a.m.